Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I am talking about haunted places in the U.S. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. There are many ways to support the show. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can sign up for the Patreon feed and get all the extra content there for as little as $1 a month. You can also check out the merchandise store and get all kinds of shirts and other items with designs made by friends of the show. Please follow Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel and is the co-host of the show on Saturdays when she's able to make it. And Michael Strange of Troubled Minds Radio and the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, digital broadcasting, where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows, as well as my own, online for free 24/7. A couple of things I always like to mention before I start these shows here. Um, Please make sure that you look into these locations yourself, both so you can check out the articles on them and see pictures, and then if you want to visit them, that way you know what the current state of the location is and when and if and when they allow visitors. So, because I never recommend trespassing at all for any reason. And so how this works is I read summaries about these locations and I share links to articles in the episode description as a starting point for you to look into each one of these locations. And this is just a handful of places in each state in the U.S., between 5 and 10 usually, and go from there. Again, because otherwise, if I try to list every place in the U.S. that is said to be haunted, if you think the series is long the way it is so far, imagine it being probably two or three or four times, maybe even five times as long, and we're not even done yet. So just to give you an idea there. All right, so I think we can start with this next location here. We are still in Louisiana, and next is the Magnolia Plantation, and wow, Natchitoches, not sure, Nactitoches, Louisiana. So this plantation carries a dramatic history and reputation as one of the most haunted sites in the state. Historical overview. Magnolia Plantation was founded by Ambrose Lecomte, Lecomte, the second, and Julia Bard in 1835, but its roots extend to French-era land grants given to John Baptiste or Jean Baptiste Lecomte the first in the mid-18th century. Originally cultivated for tobacco, corn, and indigo, the plantation shifted to cotton production in the early 1800s, dramatically increasing the demand for slave labor, with 235 enslaved people working the land by the start of the Civil War. Ownership passed to descendants through marriage to the Herzog family in 1852, merging two prominent French Creole planter families. The Civil War took its toll on Magnolia as Union troops set fire to the main house and fields. After emancipation, the site transitioned through periods of tenant farming and sharecropping, with families such as Lacour, Metoyer, Moran, Rachel, and Vircher residing there for generations. 8 original slave cabins have survived, representing both the brutal realities and enduring community of black families on the property. Today, Magnolia Plantation is part of Cane River Creole National Historical Park and stands as a remarkably intact example of a 19th century plantation, with the main house and several outbuildings preserved. Hauntings and paranormal activity. Magnolia Plantation possesses a storied legacy of hauntings and reported supernatural phenomena. Many believe the suffering and mistreatment of enslaved people, including cruel punishments and public humiliation, contribute to the area's unrest. Artifacts, and I won't go into those, related to this, and the cramped brick slave quarters remain on site as reminders of these dark chapters. Employees, staff, and visitors frequently report strange occurrences, including disembodied voices and footsteps, especially from the slave cabins, ritualistic chanting believed to be tied to voodoo practices of enslaved Africans, sometimes believed to have been used as a silent form of rebellion against their captors. Unexplained motion detector activity in the main house, attributed to the lingering spirits of those who lived, died, or suffered there. Reports of a dying room where many residents passed away, and tales of a Union major allegedly poisoned by Confederate troops, whose apparition is sometimes seen at a window. Ghostly figures dressed in Civil War attire roaming the grounds. Sounds of ankle shackles and distant screams from the basement, where slaves were tortured, and according to legend, where an overseer was killed by those he abused. Now, that does say legend. Hopefully that was all it is, but you never know. Some traditions hold that enslaved blacksmiths incorporated voodoo symbols into the iron crosses marking Lecomte family graves, further linking the plantation's supernatural reputation with ritual and resistance. Significance and preservation. Magnolia Plantation is notable not just for the paranormal tales, but also for preserving important social and agricultural history, including the experiences of enslaved people, tenant families, and Creole communities uh, on Cane River. The National Park Service manages the historic outbuildings, offering tours and education about the realities of plantation life and its haunting legacy. So that's the end of that one. We move on to another plantation, Lloyd Plantation. I'm just checking to see. Okay. So this is another one, but the next one is not, so that's a good thing, at least as far as I can tell. Uh, Lloyd Hall Plantation in Cheneyville, sorry. The Lloyd Hall Plantation has a rich and dark history tied to the Civil War era. Built around 1820 by William Lloyd, a man who was exiled from the prominent Lloyd family of England. The plantation was involved in the conflict between the Union and Confederate sides. Lloyd was suspected of espionage, accused of playing both sides during the war, and ultimately was tarred, feathered, and hanged by troops in front of his home in 1864. The plantation later became a working farm and bed and breakfast, with multiple owners over the years. Regarding the hauntings at Lloyd Hall, several ghost stories persist. The ghost of William Lloyd is said to haunt the front porch area, reflecting his violent end on the property. A Union soldier reportedly died on the third floor, leaving a blood stain near a window that has never been removed. The soldier's story involves a tragic love affair with a teacher who lived in the attic area, and varying accounts say he was either shot by the teacher's sister or a neighbor. His remains were once buried under the house but later moved. I wonder if they mean the bloodstain stays and can't be removed. Cause I've heard of that in a lot of more tragic situations where when there's unfortunately blood that is spilled, a a place, whether it's a floor or a wall in a room in a building, no matter what people do, they can't get rid of it, or they get rid of it and then it comes back. So, um, so yeah, that's I've heard of that before. The plantation's third floor attic was also the site of a young woman uh, believed to be William Lloyd's niece, Inez Lloyd, who reportedly died there, uh, falling from the attic window after being stood up by her fiance. Guests over the years have reported strange sounds, moving objects, and other paranormal activities throughout the property. The plantation is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and serves today as a bed and breakfast, maintaining the historical architecture and atmosphere that add to its eerie reputation. And so, yeah, that's the end of that one. So many of these places, they have to be turned into businesses in order for them to be either that or museums. Um, that kind of a situation for them to remain up and standing and everything in some cases because it costs so much to upkeep and renovations and all that and repair. Anyway, I've heard of this next one, even though I don't know how to say the name. I think I've heard of this. Maybe I haven't. Tefreres, T apostrophe Frere, and then apostrophe S, bed and breakfast in Lafayette. So this bed and breakfast is a historic French farmhouse originally built in the late 1800s on 72 acres as part of the Como plantation. It is known as one of the most haunted places in Acadiana and has been featured in numerous publications and TV shows. The haunting is popularly linked to Emily Como, a woman who who passed in the well after losing her husband and child to yellow fever, or died by falling into the well due to other tragic circumstances. Either way, it sounds like, but then again, that's according to legends, so I'm not sure. Due to the church ruling her death a suicide, Emily was denied a proper sacred burial, which is believed to cause her spirit to remain restless and roam the house and grounds. However, some historical investigations suggest the hauntings may be linked to another young girl, Marie Estelle Como, who drowned in a well on the family property decades before the house was built. Many paranormal experiences in, uh, reported include noises such as footsteps, door and doorknob movements, voices, lights flickering, and objects moving. Guests and owners have reported ghostly phenomena like feeling tucked into bed, toe pulling sensations, and attic sounds. The bed and breakfast embraces its haunting reputation, with many considering it a warm, welcoming place filled with Cajun lore and hospitality. I don't know if I'd call having parts of the small parts of your body, like your toes or fingers or hands or whatever, not that they say that, but just toes pulled. I don't know if I'd call that um, warm or welcoming. But anyway, maybe that's just me. Uh, so yeah, that's actually it for Louisiana as far as what I have here. And now we are getting into Maine. So finally getting into the M's here in the alphabet. This next location is Fort William Henry in Pemaquid Beach, New Harbor. Fort William Henry in Maine is a site rich in colonial history and local legends of hauntings, especially those involving Native American spirits and tragic past events. Historical background. Fort William Henry was built in 1692 by the colony of Massachusetts at great expense, intended to defend the frontier against French and native attacks. Its construction was extraordinary for the time, with stone walls up to 22 feet high and a stone bastion reaching 29 feet, housing about 20 cannons and a garrison of 60 soldiers. A fort replaced earlier structures, including Fort Charles, 1677, both destroyed during attacks as tensions escalated between English settlers and native peoples. In 1696, native and French forces besieged Fort William Henry, exploiting its poor quality mortar and water supply that was outside its walls. Captain Pasco Chubb, that's literally what Chubb, leading the garrison, ultimately surrendered after negotiations and the fort was destroyed and abandoned. The area would not be resettled until 1729, and a later fort, Fort Frederick, was constructed atop the ruins of Fort William Henry. Haunting legends and paranormal accounts. Fort William Henry is reputed to be one of Maine's most haunted sites, with legends focusing on Native American spirits, particularly the Abenaki, Sagamore, Agaramet, probably saying that terribly wrong, and his sons, whose deaths during truce negotiations and battle are believed to have left hauntings in the area. Another prominent haunting is tied to Chief Tacolexis, Toukolexis, reportedly hanged by English forces near the fort. His spirit is said to roam the grounds, manifesting as a white orb traveling between the reconstructed fort and the site of his execution. Visitors and staff have reported seeing glowing balls of light, feeling unexplained cold spots, and witnessing apparitions believed to be Native American spirits. Some accounts reference objects moving, whispered voices at night, and the lingering sense of tragedy associated with the violence and betrayal that took place at the fort. Location and present day. The present spot. There we go. The present day site features a reconstructed stone bastion built in 1908, historic displays, and ongoing archaeological investigations, uncovering foundations and artifacts spanning the colonial period. So that's the end of that one. Let me see how long this next one is. Well, we'll do it anyway. One more here. So this next one is the Wood Island Lighthouse in Saco Bay, Maine. I think I skipped. No, never mind. Not much. So this lighthouse boasts a long maritime history and chilling tales of hauntings tied to violent events on the island. The lighthouse was originally built in 1808 under the orders of President Thomas Jefferson, making it Maine's second oldest lighthouse and the 11th oldest in the United States. Its location at the entrance to Bidford Pool and the mouth of the Saco River was strategic, serving the bustling ports of Saco and Bidford during the early 19th century. The first structure was a 45-foot uh, octagonal wooden tower sheathed with shingles and equipped with spider lamps and an eclipser to create a flashing light. After the wooden tower deteriorated, a granite tower replaced it in 1839. In 1858, the lighthouse was upgraded with a fourth order Fresnel lens in a new keeper's dwelling. And so we're not going to have time for this. But let me get to the paranormal stuff here. And so the since the incident, investigators and visitors have reported apparently there was a murder at some point. Moans from the chicken coop, chicken coop shack, doors unexplainably opening, shadowy figures, and disembodied voices. Paranormal research teams have documented spectral activity, and some believe both Hobbs and Milliken's spirits, as well as Milliken's wife, may still haunt the lighthouse and surrounding grounds. Excuse me. So, if you want more details on that, I will include links in the episode description. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.